So we want to attach users to records. So what we're saying is we've already created a bunch of students back in the database, all right? But this time around, we want to make sure that every student created is attached to a particular user. So let's go back to our admin here and check out our students here. All right, so I need to log in properly here. So let me log in properly. It needs to be the super user. So here, each student has one field. Four field or five field, four field rather. Name, email, about, and date publish. So who is the owner of this record? Nobody. It's just the admin that owns it because it's only the admin that has access to this place. All right. But want every student or every person that interacts with this to be able to be assigned to a particular record. So for us to do that, we need to first of all update the model so that we'll have one more field called owner. Then we need to update our view where we create a student, and we need to also guard other views so that only those with the right permission can work on any record. All right. So let's come back to our curriculum here. So what we want to do first is to add this model or add this field to the model. So this is going to be adding a foreign key to every record in the database. I want to assume you understand what I'm saying. So let's close off all of this, and then let's move back to our models. So here in the models, like we said, we have just four fields, but this time around we are adding one more field, owner. So what the owner field does is it connects a foreign key to a particular user. I want to make sure that we let's use user here, not auth.user. So just user is fine like that, and let's make sure we import it. Let's make sure we import the user at the top here from models. All right. So these models were not created by us, they were given to us by Django, and the related name would be the name of this particular model, or how we access this particular model in the future. And then on delete means whenever you are deleting this particular user, we want you to also get rid of this particular record. All right. So I hope that makes sense. So that's where we are at the moment. The next thing is to run migrations, and there's something we forgot to add there. We need to add null equal to true. I'll just copy this line again. I'm gonna paste it there. All right. So the next thing will be to make migrations and then to run migrations. It is very important that we run migrations every time we make changes to the model, because this is how we get to impact our database. Recall that at this moment, all we have in the database is name, email, about, and pub date. So make sure you save this, and then we will just restart we'll turn off the server first of all at this moment, okay? And then we'll just turn it off. And we now want to make migrations, all right? So I have all of this inside of the curriculum, okay? So instead of typing it out, I just use an arrow up like that, and then it's Python manage.py make migration student app. Hit enter. It now makes the change that we just made. So let's check this off. So we are checking these two off, and then we now do Python manage.py migrate. Paste like that. Hit enter, and now we now have an update on what kind of students we create. Okay. So let's make sure that before we check our admin, we have run our server. All right. So let's run our server. Come back here and do a refresh this time around. Notice that it now has a field here called owner, which was not there at the initial time. So this is awesome, and this is how we will be able to connect every particular record to a particular user. So we've been able to check off this last part inside of the attach users to record, and this is awesome. This is how we do it. All right. So the next thing now would now be to go and update our views in such a way that every user would now be attached to a particular student that he adds to the database. So for us to do that, let's go back to our views. All right. I'm sure if you're coming from my previous tutorial, this would not be difficult. We'll just be updating what we already have. But if you're not coming from my previous tutorial, it might be hard. So the first thing we want to do is to make sure that the only record a particular student or a particular person can retrieve would be that one associated to them. So for us to do that, we'll do in this line, where we retrieve students. So instead of retrieving all students, we will do request dot user dot student dot all, like that. So with this, you'll be retrieving all students that are attached to this particular user. Make sense? All right. This is the first change we are making. So if you save it, I'm sure at this point we shouldn't be able to retrieve users, students, like we used to before. So hit enter, and it's telling us upload failed. Now this is just the uh the error message we put in here. All right. So basically, what it's telling us is that what we tried to the operation we tried didn't work. All right. We don't have anything to show. So, but we'll be creating more record in a bit. Okay. So next thing we want to do is to come down to where we create records here. So instead of just ending it at form.save here, we want to add request.user.student.add form.instance. So what it does is, after saving the form, it updates the particular record with that particular owner who have just imputed something. All right. So now that we've been able to do this, let's try again. We are trying again to see if this works this time around. All right. So we need to update the students here to students, not students. Now it needs to match what we have here in the model. So you remember that the related name we put was students. So let's make sure it matches. So save that, and let's go back here and do a refresh, and you see our form comes down for us. But there's a problem here. We now have all the users listed out for us. That's not what we want. We want to automatically attach every user to a record. So for us to do this, we now need to go back to our form. So when we go back to our form here, you will see that in our students model here, we initially indicated that we want all the fields to show up. Now that was when we're now attaching a particular owner. But this time around that we have owner being attached, we want to only return name, email, about, and pub date. So if we save this and then go back, do a refresh, we see that first field is gone. All right. Now that we have this, we now want to create users or not users, student record, like that, and then save. Now once we save, it tells us upload successful. When we do a refresh, we see that we have one student showing up for us. All right. So this is great. This is awesome. All right. And you would also find that it is only the particular record of that particular person logged in that will show up. All right. So let's create another record like that, and then hit enter. It says successful, and then we refresh, and it shows us that there are two people showing up here. All right. That's great. But take note that the person logged in is an admin. So let's log out and try to log in. But this time around, let's use Ebere Plenty, this one, and hit login. Now it redirects us to here where our profile is, but let's move back to students where we should retrieve all students. Notice that this does not have any students. Why? It is because there is no student attached to this user so far. So what we just do now is to give this user something, so that there is something for the user to return, like that, and just say, we'll just put in something like this. All right, and put a date, then submit. Now it tells us it's successful. You check it out, and it's showing you that it has just one record. Reason, because there's just one record that has been created by this user. So this is great. This is awesome. All right, let's go back and complete what we are doing. Remember that we are currently updating views, which we have done. Now we want to guard our views. All right. Well, so what we want to do this time around is to make sure that a particular view is unaccessible to anybody that is not that person that owns that particular record. Don't know if it makes sense. All right. So let's head back here. What we will just want to do is to first of all get the particular user, and then after getting the particular user, we'll then cross-check with the logged in user and see if they match. So already here we are getting the student, this student's record. All right, but how then do we confirm that this user is this one that we this user is the one that is logged in. Okay, so you can just copy this code that I already have here for you. All right, so you could just copy it, and we use that to now check. All right, so when you come here, remember that we're retrieving a particular student. So what we want to check is, if we've checked that okay, the method is get and that's working, we also want to check that if this student that is logged in, so if request.student is equivalent to, so we can just get rid of this like that. So we are saying if request.user is equivalent to student.user, but we want the username to make sure it really works properly. We want to make sure that we are matching these users to each other properly. So username like that. So we are doing the same thing, because at this point every student has an owner, so this should be owner, not username. So this request.username user.username, this is just the same code I left for you here, so you can check it out to see what I'm doing here. Else we'll tell the person unauthorized, so that's just it. That's just what we want to do. Else we'll tell the person unauthorized. We will also do the same thing. We'll also do exactly the same thing when it comes to post. So the first thing we're checking if it is post, and then we're checking if this user is the person that owns this particular record. Else we'll just tell them that hey, this is unauthorized. You know how we do it. All right, then now for this one, this is for the delete. We'll just do something similar or just the same thing. So once you arrive at the page, we're also checking if it is the same user. So we have the user here, then we want to check is it the same user. So if it is the same user, then we'll just delete the user like that. If not, as usual, we'll tell them that hey, you are unauthorized like that. That's just it. This is just what we are doing here. So you save that, and that should work. All right, so currently we are working with Ebere Plenty, who has one record here. So if we view this record, it should view perfectly, because of course this is Ebere Plenty we are talking about. But bear in mind that the record here is number 11. So let's log out and then try to log in. Sorry, not try to log in. Try to view this particular student, so number 11, and it tells us unauthorized, which is just what we want. But how about if there's somebody logged in? So let's say there's somebody logged in. So let's try to log somebody in. So log in like that. Let's log in the admin. Let's log in the admin, and that takes the admin inside. Then let's try to retrieve or to work on that particular student, number 11. Hit enter, and it tells it unauthorized because this is not owned by the admin. But let's try number 10 and see. You see, it shows up because the admin is the one that created the number 10, and this is awesome. This is exactly what we want. So far we've been able to see how to update the views, so that we are now able to only retrieve records for the users that own a particular record, and how to create a particular record with a particular user as the owner of that particular record. Now, what we've done so far is for Django forms. Because in case you didn't notice, I have a few code that we have commented out here. This is our regular form, which we did last time. These two forms, they are both our regular forms, which we did last time. So if you would want to also do this for, say, the regular forms, it's easy. All you need to do is look out for where the owner is. So for example here, instead of having here just blank, you can have something like student.owner, owner equal to, then you can pass in say request.user. See, like so. Once you pass this in, it will be working perfectly for you. So this will now update this particular record at every time. It is the same thing with this, but because this is updating, you are not transferring it to any particular user. You would not need to update the owner at this point. All you need to do is update the record. Once you've been able to check that this user actually owns this particular record, then you update it. The owner field is not updatable because, of course, it is a primary foreign key. You can check that out here in the models. I noticed that it is a foreign key, so we don't want it to be updated, because once you update it, you will lose track of the record. And that is it. This is it. We've been able to cover authentication in Django with no external packages or anything. So everything we've done today, it was all about Django authentication. So the next video will now be covering Django REST framework authentication. I'm sure you will love it. So for now, please like, share this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so that once I drop new videos, you'll be able to catch up with it. I drop 2 videos every week. I'll see you in my next one.